This is Marjorie. I'm going to be leading our webinar today. It's going to be kind of a quick one. I say that every single time, but there's not much of an update this month. There's a couple things I want to touch on. So I'm excited for you guys for joining us this month. We've been running this series for a little while, talking about QuickBooks Desktop going away. Basically, the reason and the purpose for this is so that we can stay on top of news that's happening, right? Because whenever Intuit has made changes to product, they have given pretty little time for people to change, meaning like 6 months, 8 months for people to change entire systems. So we just want to keep an eye on the news and stay on top of what's happening so that we can make decisions on when or if we want to move out of QuickBooks Desktop. That is Enterprise, Pro, Premier. I still include Point of Sale in here. We've got one more month. One more month. Oh. All right, so Enterprise update. I mentioned this last time, but next month we are not going to do this as QuickBooks Desktop going away because we're going to be talking about the new release of QuickBooks Enterprise. So we are doing the what's new on 10/4/24. If you want to mark your calendars, you will see an email go out around that. We do it with CPA Academy. So you'll see an email go out with that registration link. And then just as a reminder, because people do ask me, is QuickBooks Enterprise going away, right? And if you haven't heard that before, Intuit internally, when they say QuickBooks Desktop, they mean Pro and Premier. They do not include Enterprise in that. QuickBooks Enterprise, even though it is desktop, they look at as a separate product. Sometimes when people say QuickBooks Desktop is going away, or, you know, QuickBooks Desktop is whatever the limitations that they're talking about Pro and Premier internally. So QuickBooks Enterprise does have feature-based releases coming out in the what's new. So there will be some things to show you guys next month. It is shorter. Usually it's an hour and a half. This year is just an hour. There's less, but there are feature-based releases, which, you know, obviously if they're still building features in the product, it should be pretty solid feeling for you. Last month I did discuss, actually on the day of our webinar last month was when they announced that there was a price change for Pro and Premier, and I speculated the price change because we got the price change for Pro 1 user, but they did not tell us, and Premier 1 user, but they didn't tell us the rest. In the afternoon after this webinar, they rolled out the rest of the prices. So these are the official prices coming for 2024. So everyone who is in Pro Plus or Premier Plus gets a little price hike. And I was pretty close. I was excited. I was pretty close in my estimation. I said $1,099 and it's $1,049 because I gave you some estimated numbers last time. So this is for everyone who is on a Pro Plus subscription. If you had a single user last year, you paid $549. This year, you're paying $649. Okay. For Premier, the price changes also came out. They're official. $949 is the price for Premier 1 user, up to $2149. And I have some slides in here down the slide deck. That's talking about pricing of Enterprise. We do have an internal comparison for people who are in Pro, Premier, thinking about QBO, don't know if Enterprise is a better price point. We have a little calculator tool here at Fourlane that we use to help people make that decision for price alone. Now, of course, features, right? Enterprise is going to be the highest feature-based product, and then they're working to pick up QuickBooks Online Advanced as much as they can. Okay, a little bit of news as far as changes with Intuit. So this was a pretty big deal for me because I have seen Alex Chris work his way up into it over the years. So I'm sad that he is leaving Intuit. He is going to be the CEO of PayPal. And they're moving in Mariana Tessel, who I do not know right now. Hope to get to know more in the future. And so they're in charge of small business, I think is what they say, small business. You know, they just call it small business. So I think it's QuickBooks and MailChimp, but it's everything, marketing, sales, product, everything around it, okay? And then we also have Dan McCarthy leaving, retiring. That was announced just last week. And he was a directly, I think directly under Alex Chris, but over small business as well. So there's going to be quite a change, right? All new leadership in who owns product around QuickBooks, and this includes desktop, enterprise, and MailChimp and QuickBooks Online. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. I always think that fresh faces is great. Anytime we get some, new blood in there with new, fresh ideas is a great opportunity for us to, they're going to take some time to learn. So I feel like it buys a little bit of time because they're not going to come in and just like make changes. It's going to take a little bit of time to learn before they can make any changes. So I think that that's also a positive thing as well. That would be speculation, though. I don't know. That's just, I feel like that's what happens when leadership changes over. The other thing that was announced just last Wednesday, it was Intuit Assist, if you didn't get to see that everywhere on the news and everywhere. So some of the little things I just wanted to point out around this, because I think I saw a lot on social media about it being scary for people in like our profession here at Fourlane, scary for bookkeeping profession. So a couple little tidbits that I thought were fascinating. It says it will do the hard work for you, but it's not doing bookkeeping, right? So it's not like suggesting where to post things yet. Maybe that'll happen in the future, but I just thought that was pretty interesting. And then it will help level the playing field for entrepreneurs and small businesses that don't have access to the same resources as their larger enterprise competitors do. And so I thought that was interesting too, because I feel like what they're saying is potentially, right, they're trying to empower prosperity. That's one of Intuit's big things. And there's, larger enterprises might have access to consultants who are pricier, or senior leaders who are pricier, or fractional CFOs or whatever. And so they're trying to help offer some of those types of services to people who maybe can't afford them yet, right? And so I think it's interesting. It's an interesting concept for sure. It's across all platforms. If you didn't get that, it's not just QuickBooks Online. It's QuickBooks, MailChimp, TurboTax, and Credit Karma. I don't know that I saw anything around it in desktop or in enterprise, but definitely in QBO. The one thing that is one of my biggest pain points around the Intuit Assist that they launched was that Intuit is really taking back this term called expert, right? Like, I'm a QuickBooks expert. That was a term reserved for pro advisors. That was a term reserved for consultants, QSPs. And Intuit has made their QuickBooks Live bookkeeping people they're calling them experts. There was a lot around, being a consultant expert in the Intuit Assist launch. And so that's something that is a little bit hard, because then you have to figure out, we're going to have to figure out what are consultants called then, right? If we used to be the experts, now what are we called in the future? So that's something my team internally is definitely thinking about and looking at what words exist that Intuit hasn't swallowed up that people would help to find us, because Intuit is not a service company. They might be an AI company, they might be a software company, but they are not a service organization, right? As far as I know right now, they don't have a plan. I mean, they do the live bookkeeping, but they're not consultancy services, right? So, and then my biggest takeaway from the Intuit Assist launch, I know, again, like I said, I saw a lot of stuff on social media about it. My biggest takeaway is if you can get my customers to look at some financial data at all, I'm all for it. Because when you do, they're going to call us and they're going to say, like, wait a second, this is not right. So I think it provides a lot of opportunity to elevate conversations. And it is the hardest thing to get business owners to look at their financial data. Like, they just don't want to usually, right? So myself included, I just don't like looking at it. I have the knowledge. I know the things. I don't really want to look at my P&L that often. It's hard to get it to happen. So I am all for, if we can provide small businesses an opportunity to pay attention more But I also know, right, I mean, it's hard to get people to read emails. So they are tackling a big wall, and that would be really cool to see some of that break down and have customers have more financial knowledge. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Okay, and I will grab, let me see if, let me pause there for a second to see if there's any questions that came in. And if you guys didn't, the Intuit Assist, I didn't really explain what it is, but it's basically like a chat bot inside of these programs, you know, that is a self-help thing. It does, oh, this is where the experts term came into. It does connect them to experts is what it says in there. And so I've heard, I mean, we always had the tax experts that Intuit, you know, has people in TurboTax that they can get on and talk to. That's always been a thing. And QuickBooks Online, I don't know really, I don't know really what they were doing when it came to connecting with people. I know that QuickBooks Live Bookkeeping, of course, does bookkeeping. They started and branched off into cleanup a little bit. And then my assumption, well, I've heard that some of the bookkeeping is going to be outsourced, where it wasn't before. It was all US-based people. And now I think that some of the bookkeeping is going to be outsourced. And then the experts, right, maybe they'll be repurposed as experts to answer questions along the way. For customers who want to connect to people directly. So again, I don't have a fear in this space because QuickBooks Live is limited to cash basis customers only, people who don't have inventory. They don't do anything with like prepaid expenses, or, I mean, it's not accrual based, right? And so that is most of our customer base is accrual based, not necessarily for tax purposes, tax filing, right? They might file taxes cash basis, but we run financials accrual basis here, right? That's how our clients should be running their financials so they can make good decisions. So again, it's not really our customer base that Intuit is going after with live bookkeeping. Okay. So we have a question here, Seth, is the cost of Enterprise going up with the new release? So Enterprise pricing usually goes up in February. So they do it after, so Intuit's third quarter starts in February, and they usually do it right then. And they usually announce any price changes sometime in January. And it's generally like 5% increase every year, which is pretty standard. What I've learned in working with other organizations like NetSuite or Acumatica is they do price increases every year. I'm not sure. I'd have to look. I haven't looked at the end user license agreement with Acumatica recently. It used to have it built in there that there would be no more than 6% price increase year over year. But I haven't looked at it in a little bit, and I have to look at it again. But it's pretty standard to have a little bit. So yeah, they announce that usually in January. And I mean, to be completely transparent, I've told Intuit for years, I mean, the price of Enterprise is extremely low compared to whatever else is out there. So they have a wide berth that they could go up. Yeah. All right, no questions about Intuit Assist. That surprises me. All right, so I'll go ahead and continue on. I know there's a question, right? Is QuickBooks Desktop going away? So people say the next question is, should I move to QuickBooks Online? We do have free migration tests available here. We'll do the migration of your desktop data, and then we'll also do a demo of QuickBooks Online for you. So you'll know, can I do the in-products migration, yes or no? Or, you know, if I have to do full conversion, maybe you'll consider moving to a different product anyway. And then also doing a demo so you can know the capabilities of QuickBooks Online. If you ever want to poke around, you can Google QuickBooks Online sample file, and you can get to a sample file that you can poke around with in there as well. Always poke around in the QuickBooks Online Advanced one, because you may not need all the features, but you should know what features are available, right? And you're just poking around in a sample file, so do it in the advanced one. Okay. Should I move to QuickBooks Enterprise? For our Pro and Premier clients, we have a very large Pro and Premier client base over the years we've built up. And so this is the easiest pathway, because moving into Enterprise is going to be very similar to it when you just move from, like, 2020 to 2021. It's the same feel. So that's a very simple one. But the biggest concern for our customers at that point is usually price. Of course, here at Fourlane, we do have a 20% off lifetime discount for customers of ours who are moving in Enterprise. That we can offer a little price discount, but we can do the comparison so you can understand the differentials. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, right, we're talking about a couple $100 usually here and there, and I struggle to see where a couple $100, when it's your entire business, right, ends up in your accounting file. This is how you're going to make decisions on everything, how banks are going to make decisions on everything, So whoever's going to buy your company one day is going to make decisions on everything. So the couple $100 shouldn't be a big killing point. And then, as a reminder, QuickBooks Point of Sale, our D-Day is coming up. October 3rd is when all services stop with Point of Sale. We have had notice of this since February, so 8 months notice in there, right, for when they said we are no longer going to be supporting this product. And so anybody who is in QuickBooks Point of Sale, if they need alternatives, we've talked about this for several of our sessions here, but if they need alternatives, we have 3 pathways. One is you can continue to use QuickBooks Point of Sale, but switch your merchant service processing to someone else. We use WorldPay here and Instant Accept. And then the second pathway is for people who have a lot of house accounts that they purchase using Point of Sale. A lot of the softwares that are point of sale softwares out there don't handle house accounts well. And so we have like a little overlay on top of QuickBooks Enterprise, or QuickBooks period, that will allow you to process orders using Intuit's merchant services, but the QuickBooks financial merchant services. And then you can use Intuit, or use QuickBooks for your accounts receivable, right? So it helps with those house accounts. And then there's a third version, which Intuit is pushing Shopify and the relationship with Shopify. One of the leaders at Intuit went to be this, I don't know, CEO, something over there, Chief Revenue Officer over there, and help build the relationship. Shopify was not the solution that we chose after we did our due diligence for our customers. We chose to partner with Lightspeed. Our customers who are going live in Lightspeed are having big success in their launching, but as you can imagine, the entirety of all QuickBooks Point of Sale is going away. And these are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who are switching right now. So you have to, if you're waiting until October 1st to tackle this, you're going to probably be waiting a little bit longer. So expect that you will not be able to just transition in a day. We need to do some planning around it. All right, guys, that's all I had for you today. I will hang out here if you all have questions. I promised you I would not keep you for the full 30 minutes if there wasn't a lot of news. Next month, there will be more news around the launch of QuickBooks Enterprise. Thank y'all.